All right, guys. Hi. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes for. I think I started like 2 minutes early, so give it a couple minutes for people to hop on. It's almost 1 o'clock, I think. Maybe. All right. Give it like another minute, right? It's like 1:08 over here. 12:58. I mean. All right. Is it one? It's one. Hi guys. So I am Senior Master Sergeant Tamika Luhati, and I want to talk to you guys today about resiliency and finding your willpower. I'm going to share a little bit of my story with you guys, and at the end, I'll open it up for any questions or answers you guys have. So a little bit about me. I just hit my 20th year in the Air Force last week. I am married. I was mill to mill for about 13 years before my husband retired 2 years ago. And I'm a 3F5. Woo woo. I'm admin by trade. From Baltimore, and I have 3 boys. So why I joined the military. So I want to say in the 7th grade, the ROTC, the JROTC from the high school that I ended up attending, they came and they performed. And I was like, ooh, this is for me. I want to be marching and wearing that uniform. And they just looked, I don't know, they had pride in how they looked when they marched. So I was like, I want to do that. So I joined, I went to that high school, and we'll get into, guys, I'm gonna try not to crowd this thing while I share. So my 9th grade year is when I had my first early struggle. Halfway through my 9th grade year, I was 15, and I got pregnant with my oldest son. He's now 22. And when I had him, I was 16, right? So I was in the 10th grade at that time, and it was tough. I remember as a single parent, I'd carry him with me on the bus. And it was quite I won't say embarrassing moment, but I will say that getting on the bus stop with your other high school friends and having a baby strapped to your front, it's an interesting experience. So I remember, I would take him with me on the bus in the morning, and I'd get off. I stopped before the high school, because that's what his babysitter was. And I remember that people would just stare at me. And God, I just, it makes you feel like you want to give up because you feel that embarrassment, right? So I remember having him on that bus stop and working. So it was tough, right? So during the day, I'd be in school. At night, I'd work at Roy Rogers, which is kind of like a KFC. So I worked there at night, man, and I get home and I try to do my homework. And I tell you, the struggle was really, really real. And so that's where, being resilient and finding your willpower comes into play. I remember for me, I was determined to succeed. I just had this feeling that I did not want to be a statistic. And my mom and I had a conversation the beginning of my 12th grade year, and she kept saying, Tamika, why don't you just drop out and get your GED? It'd be so much easier for you if you weren't working and going to school. Just get your GED. And I said, Mom, I do not want to be a statistic. I refuse to be a high school dropout because I got pregnant in high school. And so I was just determined not to be a statistic. I was determined not to be a high school dropout. And so I wanted to defy the odds. I just had to keep going. And I remember I was walking to school one morning, and at the time I wasn't very spiritual, but I remember I would be walking and looking up to the sky, and I'd say, please just give me the strength to finish, please. So I pushed through that feeling of wanting to quit. And I'll tell you that when you get to that low moment, right, and you feel that feeling of wanting to quit, that fuel to succeed will push you to places that you didn't even know were possible. Because there were days where I didn't know if I was coming or going, but I was determined to just keep pressing forward. Whatever forward was, I just knew I just wanted to I just wanted to finish high school, right? And so during that time, right, when things were tough, I had my mom, I had my sister. My older sister was a very big part of my life. I had my circle, and I'll get into that circle a little bit here in the end. But that circle, when you are going through those tough times, you cannot go through tough times by yourself. You need a circle to help push you through. They always say it takes a village, right, to raise a kid, but it takes a village, period, to raise an airman, a mom, a husband, whatever. You need that support system, right? And so I remember, overcoming that, and I thought, man, I was like, okay, I had my son in 97, I graduated in 99, and I went on a delayed entry program, and I joined the Air Force in 2000. And I remember when in 2008, I had decided that I wanted to get out of the military, right? And I'm really into fitness. So I was like doing these competitions. I didn't get my swole on. I was really excited to help people because I just came back from a deployment and I really got into working out while I was deployed to Iraq. So I came back and I was pumped up. I'm working out. I want to be a nutritionist. I want to help people. And I don't think I realized that you could help people while still serving. So I was ready to get out. So I went through about 2 years, almost 3 years of wanting to get out of the military, and then PCS in 2010. And then I realized once I found a job as an air active reserve technician, and I was going to separate. And we just bought a house. And my husband said, well, we just bought a house and we can't afford to, not have pay. So you need to stay in. I was like, oh, okay, shoot. So I got with a mentor and told him, hey, I think I'm going to stay in the military. What's next? So how do I progress next? So he told me, he said, you've been one class away for your CCF for 3 years. You need to finish your CCAF. At the time, I'd been in the military for 10 years. And I said, okay, let me get my CCAF. So I did that, right? And then I went and had the best job I've ever had in the military as a first-term airman center NCOIC back when it was a special duty. So I had that job, and then I was step promoted to tech December of that year. And I'm thinking, man, life is about to change. I've been through all of this stuff. I'm reaping the harvest, right? Like, life was tough. You have the dirt, you plant the seeds, the water, the flowers start blooming. I'm like, yes, the flowers are blooming, life's going good. And then in 2017, life changed for me and my family significantly. In 2017, my husband was active duty. He was a master sergeant at the time. He was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And so I went from wife, mom, airman to caregiver. And in the midst of all of that, deployment came up, and we know needs of the Air Force, right? So I ended up deploying. And on that deployment, I was the senior enlisted leader. And so I'm helping everybody else. Like, I'm there for them because that's what we do, right? We're senior NCOs. And then I realized things got tough for the family. They wanted to bring me back early because my husband was having a difficult time at home. And I realized that it was hard for me as a leader to keep leading, and I was dealing with things on my own. So I reached out to the church. I said, hey, which is crazy. We always preach this, right? If you need help, get it. But it's hard when you're in this position to get the help. So I went to the church. I said, I'm struggling with this. And so we talked, and then I realized I needed my own support outlet. So I started reaching out to some of my friends, and they helped me through that time. So I come back from that deployment in April of 2018. We put in for a humanitarian assignment to Travis. We got it. We left in September, October of 2018. We got there a month later, November 2018. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'm thinking, Lord, literally, Lord, you got me dealing with this stuff with my husband. Now my mom is diagnosed with breast cancer. Like, come on. So I'm trying to unpack the house. I'm trying to learn my job. I'm trying to be a caregiver. I'm trying to study because at this time I was studying for promotion to E8. And I took a flight and I went to Baltimore for my mom's surgery. And when I tell you, Lord, I was studying in the airport, on the airplane, at the hospital, on a hospital bed. I mean, everywhere I could find opportunity to study, I was, because I was trying to stay the course. And I remember the day before I tested. Man, when I tell you, I won't say a nervous breakdown, but I cried because I wasn't ready. I always been ready. Right? I've always studied and was ready. I was not ready. I remember crying. I said, Lord, I said, I'm not ready. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I tested, praise the Lord, I did get select promotion last year. And so that time went by, and then results came out, and I was happy that I was selected for promotion. I said, okay, God, here we go. It was a good time. And July of 2019, so last July, a month after my 38th birthday, I was then diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. And I tell you, I had so many different mixed emotions. The first emotion I thought was, why now? I'm still trying to make sure that my husband's okay, that my mom is okay. And then now this, it's tough. And so, and I dealt with anger. Like, Lord, I literally, you feel like you get to a point, right, where you can't take it anymore. And I was at that point, right, where I just felt like enough was enough. And then I just became frustrated because I just felt like, my goodness, I am not, they always say you're stronger, you don't put more is not put on you than you can bear. But, you get to a point, right, with the frustration where you just feel like you can't deal anymore. And so that's what happened, right? That was one of the emotions I felt. And then the last emotion, the last thing that came over me, right, was strength and willpower. Through all of those other emotions, then I had the desire to fight. And then that's what happened next. And so what I'll say is, I got, after that all those emotions came through, and you get to that point where you're ready to fight, that's when you find your willpower, right? That's when you are, I feel, you're most resilient because of your why. You have to have that reason and that time of darkness, that thing that pulls you out. And for me, my why was my sons. The first thing, I think everybody, right? The first time you're ever diagnosed with a life-changing disease, the first thing that you think of, oh my God, I'm gonna die. That was the first thing I thought of, right? And so I remember I wanted to be there for my my boys, their weddings, and I wanted to be there for their childbirths. So I was like, I gotta fight. I have to keep on going. And so we get into the fight. And so the first thing that happened for me was in August, I had surgery, right? And then I went through radiation treatment, which in itself was extremely difficult. 20 rounds of radiation treatment. And I am the kind of person, so this works for me. I can't say it works for everybody. But for me, when tough times are there, or there's times of uncertainty or frustration, I have to stay busy. I have to keep my mind busy because, an idle mind is dangerous. And so when you're in the thick of those things, you have to do things to occupy your mind. So for me, I worked throughout treatment, right? I would go to treatment in the morning. I would go to work in the morning, treatment in the afternoon, and I'd go home. Well, as those treatments went on and you get very tired, right? I had gotten to a place. So initially I'd come home, kind of like this room is now, right? The blinds are open. I'd take a nap with the blinds open so I could still have some sunlight coming in. Well, I got to a point where I would just take my nap in the dark. Then I wake up from my nap and it'd still be dark. And I just sit there and I wallowed in where I was. I wallowed in being victim, which is probably the worst thing that you can do when you're stuck in those times, right? You have to find something to pull you out. So I say that to say that it is okay to have those moments where you kind of see where you are, but you have to readjust your mind, right? Think of things differently. So I started pushing through with various things, right? I had I call it my sister circle, and some of them are on this call, too many to name, but a circle of my closest girlfriends, family, just mentors, friends, just different people that helped me pull through that time. And I started doing things I never did, journaling, in coloring, like in adult coloring books. That's something I never did. I had bought them, but I never ever used them, right? Until I got into that time and I needed to get myself out of it. I needed to find a way to help me be resilient. And I listened to music. It is crazy, right? I downloaded, and whatever works for you. I had downloaded this playlist of powerful women songs, and there was a song, fight song. I would listen to the fight song every single day. And I'd sing with the song, I'd cry with the song, but it made me feel better. And so it is whatever that works for you, is that thing that helps you feel better. If it's singing, dancing, coloring, journaling, praying, whatever that thing is, whatever that push is that would help you out of a dark time, that's what you have to zone in on. And so after we got through this tough time, right? I call it the light, and the light is, for me, is my now, right? It's the life after cancer. So a week after my last treatment was my promotion ceremony to senior, and it was such a humbling experience, because I feel like I never truly got to enjoy, like, you know how when you get promoted and you select, you're like, ooh, my promotion, like all these things you're gonna do. Because I was battling cancer, I didn't get to have that excitement. So it wasn't until the day of my promotion ceremony when I gave my speech, and I remember, and I told my commander, I said, sir, I'm not gonna be able to stand up there at the podium. I just finished treatment, I'm gonna be weak. I don't wanna fall. I laugh a lot, right? That's just me. So I laughter just makes my soul, it just makes me feel good no matter what I'm going through, right? Whatever tough time, I don't care, I have to laugh. So you ignore my laughing, it's just who I am. And so I remember I said, sir, I don't know if I'm better stand on there for the whole time. He said, I think you'll be fine. And I was fine standing up there, and I cried kind of like I did like 10 minutes ago. I cried through my whole speech, and that's okay, because I'm emotional about this, because it's something that happened to me. It changed my life, but it's something that I want to share with other people, so that however it could help them, inspire whatever way. That's just something that I want to do. So then I PCS, right? I PCS. So I just PCS here. I'm at AFPC in San Antonio. I PCS'd here. They ended like a week before Thanksgiving. So I PCS'd here, and life after cancer. I'm readjusting. I'm excited. I PCS. Everything's good. And then probably January of this year, during the holidays, something happened. I PCS'd, and with all of the excitement, this is life though, right? You have those ups and those downs where you get over something and you're feeling like, I made it and I'm past that, and then something pulls you back, and then you're back down. And so I remember the holidays passed, and I was happy, and then I was sad, and I was like, I don't know why I'm down again. And then it wasn't until after the new year, I was walking, kind of like that day when I was in high school, right, with my son. I was walking, and then something just clicked, and it just said, Tamika, you are not a victim, you're a survivor. You have survived so many things in your life, and you're still here. So you need to get past where you've been, what you've been through, and keep pushing. And then I'm telling you guys, you hear it all the time, but it's true. When you change your mindset, when you change your outlook, you change your life. And so from that day forward, I've not been the same person. I haven't been the person that thought they were a victim anymore. I've been a survivor. And speaking of survivor, today, April 20th is my eighth month of being cancer-free. So my cancer-versary, my 8-month cancer-versary is today. And so, what comes with that is your new normal. And so, my new normal now is post-treatment. Before I had any kind of radiation, I was a runner. I was always this fit and running into lifting weights. One of the side effects is, you have a hard time breathing sometimes. And so I remember, and this is what kind of had me down, and now back in January, right? I could not walk from my car to my desk without having a hard time breathing. That's how bad it was, right? And so now I can run, not fast. Maybe I can jog, but I can go. And so my new normal is, you know what, Tamika, you may not be able to go fast, but you can go. You don't need to sit in the house waddling that you can't do sprints. That doesn't serve you any purpose. And so another thing with my new normal is I used to do push-ups and bench press like I'm really into fitness, push-pulls. I mean, if I can sling some weight around, yes. Now I may have to do some squats. I may have to work on abs. We like abs now. So I may have to work on abs. And that's okay. I'm okay with that now. You have to get to that point though, when you're in those moments and you're feeling so bad, right? You have to get to that point of the new normal. Like, my life has changed in this way from this thing. No matter what that is, right? Bankruptcy, divorce, I don't care what it is that you're gone through. Your life was one way, You passed that now. So what your life looks like now, how are you going to move forward? What's your thing that's going to keep you going? So for me, it's accepting the fact that I can't run as fast as I used to. That's okay. I can jog, I can walk fast, or whatever I can do to just, kind of keep myself still going. And the biggest thing for me, with my being resilient and finding the willpower through all of this good stuff, is that I want to help inspire other people in whatever way I possibly can. So, I wanted to do this thing today to put my story out there so that if I can help and encourage anyone, male or female, young or old, I don't care. I just want to help them to know that, you will be okay. Whatever tough time you're going through today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, you won't be in that same place. If you tell yourself, I will get past this. You have to get out of that stuck. That's where the resiliency comes in. When those times are tough, get out of your own head, right? Because sometimes we are always in our own way. When you get out of your own way, out of your own head, like, I can get through this, you will be fine. You will call me, message me, whatever you want to do. If you're having a tough time with anything, I'd love to help you. Do I have some days that are kind of like, ooh, I do. Tomorrow, so I still have, and this goes into my my new normal, right? So from treatment, radiation treatment, there's a lot of swelling that comes from that. And so tomorrow I have to have another procedure done. Now, probably 3 or 4 months ago, I probably would have been upset about this treatment tomorrow. But I'm not. I know, hey, it's just something that happened. I'm still here. I'm still living. I'm still kicking. Let me go and get this thing done so that I can get the fluid out and keep on moving. And so I remember at work, I want to say about a month ago, before we got to lockdowns, maybe 2 months ago. And I saw somebody in the hallway and they said, "Senior, why are you always smiling?" And I said, "Because I'm alive." And he just had this look, and I was like, no, so seriously, because I'm alive. And then I kind of shared a little bit of my breast cancer, and they were like, "Oh my goodness." But you have to keep smiling. Just keep being you, living. I mean, that's so important. So opening it up now, and if anybody has any questions or anything like that, I'll leave it open for that. Oh, thank you, Selena. You can feel free to message me, friend request me, whatever you want to do. I don't know if you can see my last name. Shoot me an email. I'm the only one in the global. But I'm here. That's what I want to do, Selena. Like, that is my goal, is to help and motivate however I possibly can. So if you guys have any questions about how to find your willpower or find the deep down resiliency, just let me know. Oh, Shields, I miss you too. My time at Langley was amazing. I wish I could have still been there. And I'll tell you, you would be surprised. So for me, when I went through my breast cancer journey, remember I said I did PCS, right? So I was only in my unit for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 months. And the commander, the first sergeant, everybody in the unit was absolutely amazing. And they helped me get through that time, which was so surprising to me because they didn't know me. But they pulled together and they rallied around my family as if I'd been working there for years. This was when I was in Milton Hall at the MSAS. They were amazing. What advice would you give women who are experiencing hard times right now? That's a good question, Julia. So, any woman, male, anybody who right now, so that's a perfect question. So anybody right now dealing with, I'd say maybe depression or just feeling down, being home with the lockdown with the COVID-19, I would say that you would need to, change your outlook. So don't think that you're stuck at home right now, right? That was one of my issues, right? I was thinking at first, I'm stuck at home. I can't get out. I'm on lockdown. So for me, I'll tell you guys this. Before we went to like the lockdowns at all of the bases, my leadership had decided, because I'd finished treatment recently, that was probably best for me to stay home because my immune system was compromised. I've personally been on lockdown for over a month, social distancing. And so I remember I was going kind of stir crazy. I don't know if you guys can tell. I love people. Like, that's my thing. If I see you in the hallway, hey, how you doing? That's just who I am. And so I remember I personally was getting down just being in the house all the time. And I had to change my mindset, right? I'm not stuck at home. I'm safe at home. There are people that are dying right now from COVID-19 and their family wish that they were still at home. So I would say that if you're struggling right now with being at home, if that's an issue for you, you got to find something. Me personally, I'm doing a lot of self-development, right? Books, listening to audibles, different things like that help me better myself during this time. I don't want to come out of this crisis the same person I was going into it. So I'm doing home workouts. I don't think I've read so many books before in my life, but I'm doing a lot of reading now. So I would say take this time of crisis while you're at home, switch it, better yourself during this time. Whatever that may be for you, whatever you need. If you need to start school, take a class. Earlier in the live feed, you said stay the course. What does that mean to you now? What advice would you experience when you give someone who feels as if they've fallen off? Yeah, that's a good question, Kim. So when I say stay the course, I mean, if you've determined in your mind, hey, I'm going through whatever this tough time may be. So for me, that tough time was I was going through cancer. So I knew that I needed to go through the surgery. I knew that I needed to go through this treatment. As I was going through those things, it started getting a little shaky for me now, and I was just starting to struggle a bit with the treatment. But I had to remember, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for my why. I'm doing this because I have to keep going. And so when you stay the course, once you determine what you want to do, you have to just keep yourself, even when you feel like giving up, when you feel like I'm done, you have to remember the reason of why you started that course to stay the course. So I don't know, does that make sense, Kim? That's what I meant by that. Yes. So the self-development books. They're kind of all over right here. Let me take a picture of the books. Shannon and Julia. So let me take a picture of the books and then I'll post them in here because there are several. John Maxwell is amazing. Battlefield of the Mind, Joyce Meyer. That's one of the ones that I've been reading quite a bit. I think, especially now, Battlefield of the Mind is an amazing book to help with everything that's going on right now, with keeping your mind occupied and then again working on you. That's one of my favorite books to read now. But I'll take a picture of all of them and I'll put them underneath this live. Oh yeah, okay, same thing. Oh, thank you, Kate. Yeah, like I said, Kate, if you need any inspiring or motivation or whatever you need, you can friend me from this. You can message me, shoot me an email. I am an open book. I'm always there if you need me, I'm going to be there for you. So just reach out. I'm glad you guys took the time to even listen today, right? Like you guys could be home, not working. Everybody's not teleworking, but you could not have been on this call with me today. So I really truly appreciate you guys spending a couple of minutes with me this afternoon, hearing about my story. I really just want you guys to know that, I don't care what you're going through, you will be okay. You will make it through. You just have to remind yourself. I always say, like, remember who you are, is because it's so important to remember. We forget, like, we can be strong and just kicking butt and taking names today. And tomorrow, somebody hits your car or you get in a car accident or somebody rob you. And then you start thinking, you're just this person, you're not as strong, you're kind of weak, all these different things, but that's not who you are. You have to remember who you are, the strong person that you are, the warrior that you are, male or female. Okay. All right. You guys have any more? Thank you, Candace. We love you too. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Sergeant Baron, do you need anything else from me, ma'am, before I sign out? Oh, thank you, JD. I appreciate that. I truly do. You guys, this was difficult for me because I'm not a person that likes to talk about myself. I can talk about somebody else all day long. Oh, they're great, they're amazing. But it's very difficult to sit and talk. My hands are kind of sweating. I was nervous. It's difficult to sit and talk about yourself. So reach out if you guys have any questions or anything. Like I said, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on the Global High Tea. Y'all see? That's my name. Find me wherever. I will be your biggest cheerleader because we all need that, especially when we're going to, especially now with social distancing. Like, you really need to stay social and interacting with people. My goodness, it's so important right now. Oh, thank you, Teresa. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions for me, I'm going to go ahead and end the live. But I'm here if you need anything. You guys have a great Monday, a great week. We're almost, hopefully, we'll be through coronavirus very soon. So stay positive.